actually the main focus is on how to write research in education. So I'm going to provide a roadmap on how you can start to do your research proposals. What are the important things that we should know as we start writing? And for the benefit of the newbies, of course, no, not only what I mean is for the benefit of those students, I would like to share with you also some uh, trends in research, educational research in specific, for you to have an idea what are the uh, researchable topics in the last 3 years. Okay, so why are you here? Why are we here? Of course, for particularly for the students who are taking undergraduate program, no, uh, we actually uh, you really need to make a research project. You really need to do that as a part of the culminating uh, project, no, in your research subject. Okay, so based on the presentation introduction given to us by Mr. Raymond Fajardo, a very good friend of mine, uh, you've known that I'm a mathematics teacher, and allow me to share or give an analogy of what research is all about in terms of mathematics. So in mathematics, no, um, we have always heard in our algebra class to solve for x. So we are actually looking for the value of x that will satisfy a certain equation. And in mathematics, we we find x to be used by y. So ibig sabihin nito, we find for a value of x so that we will be able to find for the value of y. No? And same in research. This is our main aim in research, no? To find solutions to the problems. And the x here, the x variable here is our solution, and the problem is y. So in short, we determine a certain problem, and as a researchers, we find answers to this problem by collecting appropriate data for this. Okay, so and allow me to present to you what research is all about. No? So whenever we talk about research, we're referring to a particular process or steps on how we collect and analyze information to increase our understanding on a specific topic or issue. So here, we follow a particular, an organized, a systematic process for us to be able to propose solutions to certain problems or provide answers to some things that we need to some questions that we need to answer, no? And here the main steps according to Creswell in 2012 is in research writing is that first we need to have a question. So we really need to have that problem. That question here is also what we call as the problem in research. We really need to pose that question. We should be it should be clear to us what is the problem, and after that we collect data to answer that question, and after that we present an answer to the question. So it seems very ano lang, no? Konti lang yung steps pero mabusisi yung process na to. And it everything that we do dapat ano connected to each other. Okay. So what is actually the importance, no, of research? So the first one, so research adds to our knowledge. Okay. So the reason why teachers are actually doing research, no, is for continual improvement. This requires, no, providing additional knowledge, probably in the literature, giving additional research to other people, no. Adding to knowledge means that educators undertake research to contribute to an existing information about an issue. Another is that we do research for us to improve our practice. One of the kind of research as that we do is an action research. No, one of the purposes of this is to help us improve what we are doing. So we have to provide evidences that these things are really effective, and we need to seek for information that will help us improve more what we are doing. So we can find solutions, problem solutions, no, in what we are practicing. Okay, so through research, it can suggest improvements for our practice and become more effective professional. And lastly, here, so whenever we create research, another important uh, contribution is that research informs policy debates. So through research, no, it helps educator become better practitioners and provide the policymakers uh, regarding the inputs of their research. So yung kasing mga research natin can be helpful for the administration, no, for different uh, educators to provide uh, improvements to the practice, no, doon sa college nila, doon sa school nila, for example. Okay, so these are the main importance of research, particularly educational research. Okay, allow me to provide to you some research highlights from 2018, just for you to have an idea what are these uh, research done by different people globally. Okay, in 2018, one of the trends in education research, particularly for BE Ed program, is looking into the impact of some interventions that teachers do inside their classroom. I'm not sure if you have seen this practice or yung mga viral videos ng mga teachers wherein they greet the students at the classroom door. Ito yung pumipili yung mga estudyante kung ano yung magiging greetings nila sa teacher. Are they going to hug the teacher? Are they going to have a thumbs up? Or sorry, ang tawag doon, high five sila, for example. I'm not sure if you have seen that sa mga videos, particularly in Facebook. I saw some of those videos. And there are these studies, no, that year that greeting students at the classroom door had both psychological and academic benefits. So results of the study said that engagement increased by 20% points while disruptive behavior decreased by 9% points, effectively adding an extra hour of learning to the school day. So that's what they found out, no, doon sa uh, ginagawang greetings ng mga teachers before students enter their classroom. Okay, so that's what highlights in 2018. Okay, so another study found out that heavily decorated walls can overwhelm students. Okay, I know you have seen um, elementary classrooms wherein there are classrooms which are heavily decorated, but according to study, heavily decorated walls can overwhelm students, impairing their attention and memory. So the suggestion is that a mix of learning aids, inspiring posters, and student work can make classroom feel lively and warm. So instead of very heavily decorated daw yung mga classroom, mas maganda na ang i-provide ay mga important learning materials that students will learn from, no? uh, or will learn with. Okay, so again, that's another study. Uh, wait. Next is trying to guess an answer and getting feedback on how close the answer is leads to higher recall rates than simply trying to memorize information. So here, there are studies na sinasabi na kapag we provide our students with opportunity to guess an answer and give them feedback on how close their answer is, provides a higher recall rates, no, by just simply or than just simply asking them to memorize information. So you see here in this particular study, no, these are some interventions. These are some practice in teaching, and they look for evidences on what are the impact of these things in students' uh, performance, in students' motivation, engagement, etc. So as ano students undertaking research research writing, you might be interested, no, in looking for ways on how students become engaged, become motivated, and how students will be able to increase their academic performance. Okay, so that is for 2018. ah I still have three more for 2018. Medyo marami kasi these are related for uh, elementary education and education in general. And the main reason why I included this in my presentation is for you to have some ideas, no, in formulating concepts in research concepts, no, that you will be proposing uh, very soon. Okay, so another highlights in education research in 2018 is that researchers found no benefit to matching student perceived learning style, such as visual or linguistic, to the ways a concept can be learned. So gone are the days that we've been studying a lot about learning styles. There are trends in education research right now saying that these learning styles found no benefit. Even scientists, no, in education said that learning style is actually a myth, no, in education. So they suggested that what we should do is to provide different types of media, different types of uh, strategies to cater different types of learning, no, or different types of students in general. So instead na kung visual learners ka siya, magpo-focus lang tayo sa pictures, it's not like that. So they suggested that teachers should focus on tried and true strategies such as combining text with pictures, which is superior to presenting either one alone. So, ayun. Next, another study showed, I think makaka-relate not only in 2018, even in our uh, time right now, no? It found out that 93% of elementary school teachers experience high level of stress. So, beyond long hours and heavy workload. So, teachers report feeling emotional exhaustion driven by a combination of trying to manage the emotional needs of their students and feeling pressure to increase student outcomes without having resources to do so. So it is actually a problem globally, no, that these teachers, elementary teachers, to be specific, are experiencing high level of stress, and we hear that also from our DepEd teachers, no, that they are very uh, stressed in terms of their workloads kasi sobrang dami ng task na pinapagawa sa kanila. And during this time, if you will recall, this is also the time that uh, you will hear suicides from teachers. Ito yung year na yan eh, no? Ito yung naging research highlights in 2018. Okay? And next for this is a student's behavior is much stronger predictor of future success. Okay, I would like to emphasize this. According to study, that students' behavior is much stronger predictor of future success than test scores are. No, according to a large-scale study encompassing 574,000 ninth graders. So, anong nakita nila sa study? No, teachers who help students improve their behavior were 10 times as effective at improving their students' graduation rates and grade point average as teachers who focus on test scores. So in short, sinasabi ng research na to na nakita nila sa kanilang pag-aaral na mas mataas ang success rate, no, nakakatapos ng pag-aaral, ah, mataas na grade, no, kapag ang focus ng teacher ay hindi lang test score but also developing their behavior. So kaya nga naririnig natin ngayon na uh, whenever we teach students, we do not just teach them to get high grades, no? We also teach them emotional, ano, no? Or we should teach them to improve their emotions, okay, and behavior. Okay. So this is for 2018. Bilisan ko na lang for 2019. But again, I find this important, no? Um, for you to have some ideas on ano ba yung mga pwedeng i-research. Ayan. Okay. So in 2019 naman, ang pinaka study nila doon is about doodling, drawing. Diba? If you see, there are students na nakikinig sa klase pero nagdo-drawing lang sila. Okay, in 2019 study found that students remember less of what they are learning if they are doodling at the same time. So, ayun, kapag may mga estudyante kasi na nagdo-drawing sila habang nakikinig sa teacher. So, ito yung naging result ng study na yon. But the study also addresses a big misconception. So, ayan, doodling is not the same as drawing. Yung doodling dito, yung mga nagdadat-dat lang siya. Okay? Pero minsan kasi, kaya nga mayroong disclaimer dito, doodling is not the same as drawing. Minsan kasi yung mga drawing naman is related to the lesson. Pero if they're just simply doing something, yun, nakaka-apekto din daw sa kanilang learning. Okay, next is attendance don't boost awards don't boost attendance, teachers do. So, we all know that we give rewards to students, no? But tingnan natin yung results. Students are more likely to attend school when their teachers notice absences and make efforts to reach out to them and their families. So, mas nakaka-boost daw ng attendance kapag ang teacher ang ginagawa niyang intervention is nag-reach out yung yung teacher sa mga estudyante at sa kanyang mga families. So, in short, nagiging malaking bagay yung mga home visitations, yung mga one-on-one talk with the students rather than just simply giving them an awards or additional points. So, ayun, mas nakakatulong daw ito in terms of students' attendance. Okay? So, for those teachers who will experience this kind of problem, they might look some possible solution based on this research. Okay, next, growth mindset is another common research in recently, no? Dati kasi nag-ano na to parang hindi na masyadong pinapansin ng growth mindset. But this 2019 naging popular ulit yung growth mindset as a research area. So, they found out that growth mindset interventions has weak benefits, although at-risk students did see bigger gains. So, hindi siya ganon kalaki yung benefits, pero nakakatulong naman sa mga at-risk students. So, okay. And lastly, 2020, pinaka-latest, etong sa mga neuroscientists, so has something to do with handwriting, no? So, di ba because of the presence of technology, madalas tinatype na natin, through computer na, no? Encoding na yung mga sinusulat natin. So here, neuroscientists defend the value of teaching handwriting again. So whenever self-generated movements are included as learning strategy, more of the brains get stimulated. So sinasabi dito in short yung research na mas nakakatulong yung pagsusulat, no, ng mga estudyante ng mga notes nila rather than just keyboard typing. Okay. Next, students who generate good questions are better learners. So students who studied a topic then generated their own questions scored an average of 14% points higher than the test, higher on a test than students who use passive strategies like studying notes and reading classroom materials. So you can have these strategies or in teaching that you ask your students to study material and let them generate their own questions. So, this is another research na ginawa kung saan they found out na mas nakakatulong kapag yung estudyante generated their own questions. Okay? And lastly, okay, um, a secret to high-performing virtual classroom. So, the crucial need to generalize virtual classroom even more intentionally than physical ones. So, remote teachers should use a single dedicated hub for important documents and assignments. Simplify communication and reminders by using one channel like email or text, and reduce visual clutter like hard to read fonts and unnecessary decoration throughout their virtual spaces. So this is actually a result, no, of our research. So again, these are the highlights in educational research in the past 3 years. Okay, so uh, meanwhile, no, uh, that is globally, no, what we experience globally. So your research now, no, can be anchored, no, in the national goals and regional goals natin, no. So the UNESCO provided this sustainable development goals. You can anchor your research to this one, since one of the sustainable development goals, no, is uh, quality education, and that is number 4. Okay, so ito yung mga targets, no, in uh, providing quality education. Pwede nyo tignan sa mga areas na to kung alin ang pwede nyong pag-aralan, no, in your research. Since you are education students, your research should focus on education, on how to help the education sector improve some areas. Dito, you will see here in sustainable development goals, number 4 na quality education. Ito yung mga areas. So you can look into the early childhood development and universal pre-primary education. You can look into equal access to technical, vocational, and higher education. So look for relevant skills for decent work, gender equality and inclusion, universal youth and adult literacy, education for sustainable development and global citizenship, effective learning environment. So look for scholarship and teachers and educators. So in short, these are the areas, no, na pwede nyong pag-aralan. Tignan nyo kung ano yung mga problem that exist in different areas. So if yung research focus ninyo ay nasa areas na to, hindi kayo mawawala doon sa pag-conceptualize ng research ninyo, and also the importance of what you're going to write in the future. So, how will you start, no, writing your research? So, what I gave a while ago are some preliminaries, giving you some ideas on how you're going to conceptualize your research. Or baka may makuha kayong inputs sa mga napag-aralan na dati. Okay? So, how will you start? Okay, as Lewis Carroll say in the Alice in Wonderland, we begin at the beginning. So, this endeavor is something na makakatulong sa inyo, yung tong webinar na to. Hopefully, ay makakatulong sa inyo to start, no, thinking of your research. So, we have to conceptualize a research proposal. No, we think of a research topic or a problem and then do the work. Okay, in your research proposal, no, this is the first thing that you're going to do, no? I think first defense na gagawin ninyo is to propose your topic. So a research proposal describes what you will investigate, why is it important, and how you will do the research. Ito yung kailangan yung ipakita, no, as you write your research. Okay, so allow me to show again the different research processes. So ito ang i-undergo ninyong process as you write your research. So it starts with identifying the research problem. It is very important, no, to have a concept topic no, kapag magpo-propose kayo ng title, bago yung chapter 1 and chapter 2 ninyo, dapat meron na kayong title. Yung title na yon ay actually concept proposal yon. So you, in your concept proposal, you should indicate the research problem. Ano yung gusto nyong aralin? Ano yung problema in education that you want to investigate, that you want to find solutions? So yung mga ganon, no? And sabi nga nila, the the main problem in thesis writing is that you do not know your problem. Okay? So, napakahirap magsulat kung wala kang concept, wala kang research topic, no, or problem. So kasi hindi ka makaka-proceed if you are not certain with what is your research problem. So this is the very important thing, no. Maraming paraan kung paano makapag-start mag-identify ng research problem. Depende ito kung ano ang klase ng research na gusto mong gawin. Okay? So, ang mga researchers, particularly classroom teachers, they start writing their research, no, or they conceptualize their research based on the problem that they experience in the classroom. So isang area yon. Pwede kang mag-start kung ano yung nakikita mong problem sa classroom mo, sa mga estudyante mo. So nakikita mo mahina yung performance nila, nahihirapan sila, marami ang non-numerates, marami ang hindi nakakapagbasa. So you can start from there. So again, some researchers can start problematizing their research based on their experiences in the classroom. There are also research na ang starting point nila, kapag wala silang idea paano sila makakapagsulat, ang ginagawa nila, nagbabasa sila. Okay? So, actually, yung ginawa ko kanina, pinakita ko muna sa inyo kung ano yung sinasabi ng research, no? So, isang way yon on how you can conceptualize a problem. So, titignan mo kung ano yung trend na inaaral in the recent years. Ano yung mga common problems, ano yung mga demands and problems that other teachers and researchers are studying, no? So, tapos titignan mo doon, ano pa yung hindi nila naaaral. Naaral nila to at ano yung mga hindi pa naaaral. So, from there, doon sa mga hindi pa nila naaaral or nire-recommend ng mga researches na gawin nyo, doon ka pwedeng mag-start. Okay? So, ayun, that is another way. Okay? So, sum up ko lang. One possible way is to conceptualize based on your classroom experiences. The second is you can start conceptualizing after you have read literature. Okay? So, ayan. Then, of course, if you see merong steps dyan reviewing the literature, you have to exhaust all the possible literature for you to really determine, no, kung ano yung mga problems existing in education o kaya problems related to your study, no, or your topic interest. Tapos, ano-ano din yung mga sinasuggest ng mga literature na to. Okay? So, very important skill that you should learn is how to select your resources, how to locate your resources, and how to summarize resources. So, merong mga technique, no, kung paano tayo gumawa ng related literature. So, later on, we are going to talk about locating resources. I'm going to share with you some references, no, na pwede niyong puntahan, particularly in education. Okay. Minsan kasi isa sa mga problema ng mga estudyante, saan ako kukuha ng RRL? Saan ako kukuha ng related literature? Okay? Lalo na ngayon, we cannot go to libraries, no? Puro online yan ang kukunin nating mga RRL. Okay. So, next is specifying a purpose for research. Kung kanina, you identified your research, then after reviewing the literature, your next step is to identify yung purpose ninyo. Kailangan nyo nang isulat ngayon ano yung mga statement of the problem, ano yung mga specific question that you want to answer in your study. Ang purpose for research na to, nililimit na tayo kung ano yung gusto nating investigate. Kasi let's say for example, you want to study about uh, how uh, how to improve academic performance of the students using a particular intervention. Okay? So ngayon, magdi-devise ka ng specific question that will answer your problem. Okay? Una, you have to describe the academic performance of the students. You have to describe their performance before and after the intervention. So yung mga ganon, no? If you are uh, specific doon sa pagpo-provide ng intervention. Or if you are just simply describing a particular scenario or particular phenomena, so pwedeng survey type ka lang. Then ang mga specific purposes mo nun is to just simply describe yung current situation. So ayan, yung pag-specify natin for the purpose of research will help us also to determine kung ano ang research design na pipiliin natin. Okay? So, mga students, no, whenever you think of your research design ngayon, no, you have to pattern it, no, or you have to base it on your research purpose. Okay? Kung ano yung research questions mo, dapat connected siya sa magiging design mo. Your research design now will help you or will guide you, no, in identifying your step-by-step procedure in collecting your data. Okay? So, ayan. So, in collecting data, you have to select individuals to study, obtain their permissions, gather information, and also in collecting data, you should have your instrument, validated instrument. You should also have, what else? You should have your, you should know rather your sampling technique. No? You should know how to check the reliability of the instrument and etc. So itong portion na to na collecting data is more on the part na ng chapter 2, which is the method portion. Okay? Then dito sa analyzing and interpreting, at papasok ang data analysis dito. You have to identify, no, kung anong klaseng data analysis ang gagawin ninyo. Are you going to do procedures following the quantitative data analysis or the qualitative data analysis? So kailangan din sa pag-aaral ninyo ng thesis writing, no, kailangan may clear ideas kayo kung ano-ano ang mga ways on how to analyze data. Kasi part yon na isusulat ninyo, no? Okay. So, if it is quantitative, make sure that clear yung inyong mga, or kung ano yung research question nyo, appropriate yung statistics na gagamitin ninyo. Kung qualitative data naman, you look for different qualitative data analysis like thematic analysis, no? How you code your data. Same also with content analysis. So may mga iba't ibang paraan on how to analyze and interpret data. And lastly, yung hihingin sa inyo during your final defense is reporting and evaluating research. Actually, kung titignan ninyo yung identifying research problem, reviewing literature, specifying the purpose, no, and ways in collecting data are actually part of your proposal. Pero itong pag-analyze nyo ng data, pagre-report nyo ng results ninyo, no, is part of your final defense. So ito yung ire-report ninyo sa dulo. How you analyze the data and what are the results, no? So you structure the report, write the report sensitively. So generally, this is the research process. Okay? So ano ang parts ng research or yung thesis ninyo? Ano yung mga parts ng thesis ninyo? The chapter 1 includes introduction. Um, so sa introduction, you provide the rationale of your study. Usually yung first paragraph niyo sa introduction, sasabihin niyo doon kung ano ang parang ano siya parang a researcher's voice siya. Sasabihin ng researcher kung bakit yon ang study nila. Ano yung uh, reason, no? Why they are studying this. Then, you support the introduction with the uh, review of the related literature, and you include in the introduction your conceptual and theoretical framework. Usually, pipili ka lang if you are going to use conceptual or you're going to use theoretical framework. No? So, isa lang dito. Pag conceptual framework. Kung theoretical framework. Okay, next is you have to identify also in the introduction yung statement of the problem. So in short, dito mo rin makikita yung statement of the problem. I would like to add more on this portion. Aside from the statement of the problem, you have to mention here kung may hypothesis kayo, you have to include the hypothesis. But yung hypothesis ay nakadepende kung leading towards inferential study yung ano ninyo. Pero kung descriptive lang, there's really no need for you to have an hypothesis part sa introduction. Tapos, you will also find in the introduction yung significance of the study and the definition of terms. So, yun yung na-miss kong ilagay dito sa number 1. No? Okay. The chapter 2, ito lahat yung mga kailangan i-report ninyo sa chapter 2 ng research ninyo. You have to identify, dapat naka-identify dyan kung ano ang research design and methods na gagawin ninyo. Yung respondents or your participants, students, no, please take note yung paggamit ng term na respondents or participants. Usually, we use respondents if our study is on the quantitative part, quantitative research. Then kapag ang mga study natin is qualitative, instead of respondents, ang gamit nating term ay participants. Okay? You have to include also the sampling technique. Later on, ibibigay ko yung listahan kung ano yung mga choices ninyo for the sampling technique. Tapos, actually, yung discussion ng mga to, tig-iisang 3 period class, no? Yan. Pero, bibigyan ko kayo ng list on what are the possible choices doon sa mga sampling techniques na yan. Then, you have instruments. You have to mention ano yung instrument ninyo na ginamit. Pag sinabing instrument, we're referring to the questionnaire, interview protocol, mga ganon. Tapos, you have to mention there in chapter 2 the validation procedure of the instrument. So, itatanong definitely ng panel members ninyo, pina-validate nyo ba ang instrument ninyo? Sino ang nag-validate? Paano kayo nagpa-validate? Anong resulta ng validation? So, kailangan masagot nyo ang mga yon sa chapter 2. So, then, you also have to include the data gathering procedure. So, sabihin nyo sa portion na to, yung data gathering procedure, kung paano kayo nag-start mag-collect ng data from the very beginning. Okay? And you will have to mention also your data analysis here. And there's one more thing that we can include. We have to mention here the ethical consideration. Okay? So you can take note no kung ano yung ina-add ko dito. So sa chapter 2, ito yung mga common subtopics, subtitles. Yung mga nakikita nyo dyan, ito yung mga subtitles ng ating chapter 1 and chapter 2. Okay. And number 3, we have to show the results and discussion, presentation of the findings. By the way, if you have the qualitative research, instead of results, you write findings. No? So, ayan, presentation of the findings, answers to the research question. Mas na-appreciate ng panel members kung ang inyong pagpe-present ng date ng result ay the way na kung paano sunod-sunod yung statement of the problem. Kasi ang gagawin nyo dyan, babalikan nyo yung statement of the problem ninyo sa introduction. Tapos, sila yung sasagutin mo isa-isa dito sa inyong results and discussion. So, that's how important your statement of the problem. Sila talaga yung main core ng research mo. At sa chapter 3, ang gusto mong ipakita dito, yung mga sagot doon sa tanong mo, doon sa problem mo na minention mo sa chapter 1. Then, we have chapter 4, the summary, conclusion, and recommendations. So, sa summary, usually, hindi na natin nakikita dito yung mga numbers, no? Nakikita na lang natin ano yung general result na nabanggit natin sa chapter 3. Summary lang. Sa chapter 3 kasi, it's the detailed presentation of the findings. So sa chapter 4, the last chapter of your research is to provide a summary of your results. Then, based on your summary, you will write your conclusions. So, dun sa conclusions na yan, should be based on the findings. Okay? Ang common na mali ng mga estudyante, gumagawa sila ng conclusion na hindi naman lumabas sa kanilang result. Kasi, parang preconceived nila yon ideas, no? Pero hindi dapat ganoon. Please take note of this, no? Whenever you write your conclusions, it should be based on the results of the study. Gagawa ka lang ng conclusion kung ano ang lumabas na resulta sa research ninyo. Same also, your recommendations should be based on your conclusions. So since kinunclude mo ito, no? Ano ngayon ang pwede mong i-recommend? Sa education, sa mga teachers, sa mga estudyante. So, depende kung sino yung target, no? And ano ang magiging implications nito to future research. Okay? So, yun yung mga nilalagay natin sa study na to. Okay? Okay pa po ba tayo? Let me check the audience. Nakakasunod naman po.
Yes po.
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you po. So, ayan. Yung first part ng aking presentation is giving you the overview of the whole process and what you will write in your thesis, no? Ayan. So, balik tayo sa pinakauna. Kasi ang pinaka-focus based dun sa napag-usapan namin ni Ma'am Alexis, no, is more on conceptualizing, no, your research. Okay? Kasi napakalaking or napaka-importanting portion yun, no? Dapat you start your research right. Okay? So sa introduction, what you write actually is the rationale, nabanggit ko to kanina, your research problems, and the review of your related literature. Okay. So in your introduction, you ask a question, you decide your purposes, ideas, and questions. Okay. If you are going to, I hope these questions will help you in conceptualizing your research, no? Okay, or yung topic. So, example, the first question here, what takes you to this research area? Let's say, for example, nakapag-decide kayo na ang gusto kong maging study is about gamification. Ang gusto kong study is about online learning. O kaya, experiences of the teachers in during or amidst pandemic. Yung mga ganoong research area, no? Yun yung mga area pa lang, no? Tapos, you ask now this question, is this my personal interest, no? Is this based on my reading and literature? Yeah, no? Or is it your reading of the literature which makes you feel that there are unanswered questions? So, ayan. Another possible reflection question for yourself, no, in determining your research question or your area. So you have to have this research question. So you have to get your research question right. This is the foundation stone of the whole project. Okay. So kailangan tama yung research question nyo. Kapag yung research question nyo problematic, magiging problema na yung buong research ninyo. Dapat sa umpisa pa lang, tama na yung research question. Okay? So, take note, this is the foundation stone of the whole project. Okay? So, the research question here, ito rin yung makikita nyo sa statement of the problem. Okay? Actually, yung research question, yung research objective, at saka yung statement of the problem, isa lang yun. Okay? Iba-iba lang yung terminology, but isa lang yung gusto niyang patunguhan at isa lang yung ibig niyang sabihin. Okay? Usually, pag sinabing research objective, naka-state lang siya in sentences. No? Pag sinabi namang research question, nakasulat lang siya into question form. Okay? So, you have to make a rough plan on how you want to proceed. Okay? So, basically, gumagawa din tayo ng mga flow charts, no? O kaya mga concept maps, no, and how you want to proceed working on your research. Okay. So, sabi ko nga kanina, no, you have to get your research question right. You have to identify your main purpose in doing your research, and to give you some, no, of these purposes of research. No, allow me to show now the next slide. Okay. Ito yung mga pwede nating maging purpose, no? Sandali. Okay. Complete na ba? Sandali lang. Ayan, sorry. Okay. So, ito yung mga purposes of your research, no? Pwedeng ang maging purpose mo is to find something for its own sake, no? Let's say, for example, for you to describe something, for you to investigate a certain phenomena, for example. The second purpose is for you to evaluate something. Siguro dito, no, pwedeng ito yung mga study na about, is my teaching strategy effective? Is my intervention effective? Yung bang tool na ginamit ko effective? So you evaluate. O kaya, pwede rin itong mga programs na ginawa ng school, nakakatulong ba itong mga programs na to develop, to address some issues, no? Okay. O kaya, find out if something works, or improve your own or others' practice. These are the possible purposes of your research. So based on these purposes, what are the possible questions that you can have, no? Okay. So you can actually check, no, what is already known. No? Have you in fact found out that many other people have already done what you were doing? No? In terms of complexity, is the question more complicated than you have thought? In terms of accessing to information, will you be able to get and hold the information that you need? And third, will there be ethical problems in getting information? So these are the things that you have considered in writing your research question. No? Ito bang tinatanong ko sa study ko ay something na hindi pa nasasagot ng ibang mga researchers? Ito bang ginagawa ko ay ginagawa din ng ibang mga researchers? In terms of complexity, you can ask yourself, is the question, no, is complicated. No? Minsan kasi akala natin ang dali lang, no? Ang dali lang uh, mag-conceptualize ng question, pero kailangan mo ding i-consider, kaya mo bang makuha yung mga sagot sa tanong na yon? Dapat during the conceptualization of the research question, na ano mo na yon, no? Na-foresee mo na rin, kaya ko bang makuha to? Ayan. Otherwise, kapag nag-proposal kayo at nakita na hindi pala makukuha yung mga data, very complex pala, no? Uulit ka sa umpisa. Uulit ka sa pagko-conceptualize ng question, no? Ayan, same also sa access of information, lalo na ngayon. Ang hirap kumuha ng information. Dapat yung mga research ninyo, siguraduhin ninyong makukuha nyo yung information. Okay? Siguraduhin ninyo na magiging available yung mga to. Nakikita kong common problem ng mga naging researchers, no? Mga fourth year dati. Dati kasi fourth year ang pagsusulat ng research, no? Ngayon, nasa third year na eh. No? Ang nakita kong problems dati, lagi nilang kinukuha yung academic performance. Totoo naman na ang target natin is academic performance. Nire-relate natin ang isang bagay sa academic performance. Pero pagdating pala nila ng data gathering, hindi pala nila pwedeng i-access ang grades ng mga estudyante. Di yun, problematic sila. Hindi pala maganda yung study, pero hindi pala sila makakakuha ng information na kailangan nila. So, ayun, minsan nagtatagal or nade-delay yung ginagawa nila kasi they cannot access information, or if they can access the information, marami pa silang dadaan ng letters, ang daming hihingin ng permission kasi this includes, no, the issue of data privacy. So, kailangan i-consider nyo yon, especially dun pa lang sa pagko-conceptualize ng research question ninyo. Okay, next, will there be ethical problems in getting information? Yan, related na rin dun sa sinabi ko sa letter C, no? Yung access ng information ninyo. Baka, aside from data privacy issue, yung other issues naman natin, unethical na makuhanan ng information yung mga yon. So, again, dun pa lang, no? Dun pa lang sa step ng conceptualizing your research, you have to consider this ABCD. Okay? Next. So what are the kinds of questions that you can write, no? Or you can include in your research? Ipakita ko na lahat. Okay, yan. So the first one is you can ask a question in terms of the situation. Okay. Ano yung sitwasyon? Example ng ang tanong ay about a situation. How have numbers of teaching assistants grown in school over the last 10 years? So dito tinatanong anong sitwasyon ang meron tayo ngayon. Pwede nga mga tanong diyan, ano ang dropout rates, ano ang graduation rate, success rate ng mga estudyante. Ito yung mga sitwasyon. Ano ang problema na nangyayari ngayon? Yung mga your question has something to do with a certain situation, no? A particular thing that's happening in the education field. Okay, next. What's going on here? You can venture on question that has something to do with what's going on here. Okay, example. Why does a student put up her hand when she doesn't know the answer? So parang kakaiba, di ba? Alam natin ang estudyante nagtataas ng kamay kapag alam niya yung sagot. Pero meron akong nakitang estudyante na nagtataas ng kamay kapag hindi niya alam yung sagot. Okay, so there's something different, no, na nangyayari dun sa isang particular situation. Then you want to investigate why is that happening, no? Okay, o kaya nakikita mo merong mga estudyante na morning pumapasok sila, pagdating ng afternoon nagka-cut class sila. You can investigate on those possible reasons why those things are happening. Okay? So, example lang yon. Then number 3, what happens when? Okay. So you can look into possible uh, uh, impact when you do something. What happens when? Okay, example, what are the consequences of implementing an anti-bullying policy in DubSU? Let's say, for example, we have the anti-bullying policy in DubSU. We provided the guidelines for that. Yun yung ano nyo eh, yun yung pinoprovide nyo. Then you have to, or you would like to investigate ano yung mga consequences ngayon kapag pinatupad ko to. O kaya, what happens when I made use of type of technology in my classroom? What happens, no, when I did this kind of strategy in uh, in teaching? Okay, so yun yung mga kind of questions that you can ask in your SOP. Okay, then number 4, minsan ang mga tanong natin, tinitignan natin if one variable is related to another. One variable affects the other. Okay, example, what are the relationships between reading attainment, exclusion, and non-attendance? So you are looking into the relationship of one variable with another variable. Okay, yung bang sex ay may kinalaman? Is it related with the in mathematics performance? Common ano yan, no? Common variables na naaral na, no, na there's a difference between the performance of male and female in terms of in mathematics, for example. Tinitingnan natin if one is related to another. So yun yung mga pwedeng maging tanong, maging focus ng mga questions natin. Okay? Next, sandali. So, coming up with your situation, so sorry, here with your question. So here, so may note ako dito, your question will emerge from your interest and your observation. So let's have the number 1. Nabanggit natin kanina, your question has something to do with situation. Okay? So in coming up with your question, you have to ask this also. Is there something novel? May kakaiba ba? May bago ba? No? Is there something perplexing or unusual about it? No? May unusual ba, no? Doon sa sitwasyon. Kaya gusto ko siyang aralin, no? Number 2, story in media. Are there aspects of it that seems interesting or puzzling? What aspects of it could be followed up? Okay? You can also ask others. You can ask a colleague, a friend, a relative who works in the field about a particular issue or problem in their working day. So if sometimes it may not be your experience, but it is an experience of other people, then you can ask them, regarding this particular problem or issue. Okay, and number 4, another thing that you can do in coming up a question is to brainstorm. It is very important to produce interesting new ideas. Definitely, no, in writing your research, may mga kasama kayo, no? Unlike sa mga master's thesis and dissertation, solo-solo lang yon, no? Individual ang pagsusulat. Pero sa undergraduate, meron kayong mga group mates. So napakalaking bagay ng pagbe-brainstorm, no? Pag magbe-brainstorm kayo, ang pwede nyong gawin, isulat nyo lahat ng problema in education. Walang the sky is the limit in writing into that different ideas. Kasi nagbe-brainstorm pa lang kayo, no? And there's no criticism dapat of the ideas. So, wag nyong i-criticize yung idea ng isa ninyong groupmates. Importante dito, makapagpalabas kayo ng mga possible ideas in your research, no? So, ayan. Some rules, again, in brainstorming: quantity of ideas rather than quality. No criticism of ideas. So, and even unusual ideas are welcome, no? Minsan kasi yung mga unusual ideas na yan, yung mga mas magandang investigate, no? Okay. So, napakalaking bagay sa inyong grupo ngayon, yung magkaroon kayo ng brainstorming. Minsan ang nangyayari, may mga napansin ako sa mga nagsusulat ng research. Dahil experience niya personally, parang pinupush niya sa mga group members niya na ito na lang yung pag-aralan natin kasi concerning ito sa akin. Pero you have to consider your groupmates now, no? Kailangan hindi lang yung gusto ng isa yung pwede nating i-push, no, na study. Kailangan dun sa pag-conceptualize ninyo ng question ninyo, ng purpose ninyo, dapat it should be given by the whole group, no? Hindi lang dahil gusto ng isang member, no? Okay, it should be a common interest of everyone. Okay. Next, you notice the first part of my presentation, sobrang focus niya sa pagko-conceptualize ng research problem. So, ayan, kasi it's very important. I emphasized a while ago. Okay, so these are some consideration in the development of your research problem. The study will fill a gap in the existing literature. Tatanungin sa inyo ng panel ninyo, what is the research gap? Ano ang hindi pa naaral na masasagot ng study ninyo? Dapat may sagot kayo sa tanong na yan, no? So, what is the research gap in your study? Okay? Ano ang hindi pa naaaral, sinasabi ng literature na masasagot ng paper ninyo? Okay? So, is your research a replicate from past study, participants, and research settings? Minsan, may mga research na ginagawa ay kinokopya in a way na tinitignan niya yung mga variables ng mga naaral dati, pero hindi naman ibig sabihin na kopyang-kopya, no? What we mean here is looking into the question, no, nung mga or yung mga variables ng previous studies, tapos yun din yung aaralin mo. Tapos yung pag-aaral mo, mas marami ang participants, mas madami yung mga ang tawag doon, mas malawak yung study mo. So pwedeng ganon. You can replicate a past study, pero dapat doon sa replication ng past study, merong recommendation yung researcher na dapat ganito ang gagawin ng susunod na researcher. So kung ano yung recommendation niya, then integrate mo doon sa study mo. Then you can make use or you can proceed with that kind of study. Then another, study extends past research or examine the topics more thoroughly. Another is the study give voice to people in the society, and if the study informs practice. So these are the considerations in developing a research. Okay. So, anuhin ko na to. Skip ko na. Let me proceed right away sa related literature. In the review of your related literature, so you think about your question. What have other people done about this similar question? Okay? So, how are you going to locate resources? How are you going to, what do you call that? Gather those information and organize them. Okay? So you can make use of different sites. So you can make use of Google, the Web of Science, no, books available online, no. Keeping records of your searches, you have to keep your record of what you have done. I'm not sure if you are familiar with bookmarking. Pwede nyong i-bookmark sa inyong Google yung mga nakita ninyo, if ever napansin ninyo or nakita ninyo, itong site na to pwedeng makatulong, i-bookmark ninyo dun sa inyong Google Chrome, no, for example. Okay, writing a coherent study, not a list, and drawing a storyboard. These are ways on how you can write your literature. So, ako sa practice ko, whenever I start my study in review of the related literature, gumagawa ako ng matrix. Gumagawa ako ng table So yung unang column ng table ko is on the result of the study or the variables of the study, yung question ng study na nabasa ko, tapos ano yung naging resulta at recommendation, tapos yung last column kung ano yung citation at ano yung reference para pag binalikan ko yung research, mabilis na lang na mahanap saan ko nakuha yung nabasa kong yun. So that's how I practice it. I make a matrix, no? Tapos gumagawa ako ng or parang binibreak ko yung nabasa ko into parts, looking into the variables, into the research question. Pwede ko parang isulat yung ano yung design ng study. Tapos, ano yung naging resulta at recommendation. Okay? Usually, ang una kong binabasa sa isang research, pero sa research question, ay yung result sa conclusion part, result and conclusion. So, kasi doon makikita mo na ano yung naging resulta ng pag-aaral nila. So, kasi sa result and conclusion of the study, yun ang isusulat mo sa related literature mo. Take note ha, pag magsusulat kayo ng RRL, ang kukuhanan ninyong RRL ay yung naging resulta, no? Naging part ng results and discussion at the same time ng conclusion ng research para ma-cite nyo yung researcher na yon. Okay. So, another thing in RRL, review of the related literature, you should know the sources of information. You can get information in articles in peer-reviewed journal, in professional journal, in authored books, edited books, textbooks, conference proceedings, thesis or dissertation, newspapers, or magazine and websites. Okay. Example of medyo blurred ata ito. Ito kasi kapag ang school ay merong e-journals na nakasubscribe, I'm not sure kung ano na ang meron tayo sa library, pero this is an example of the list of journals na pwede niyong puntahan no, if ever the library will provide us. Pero if not, may mga ways pa rin naman tayo kung saan tayo makakakuha ng mga sources of information. You can go to Google Scholar specifically. Instead of going to Google search, punta na kayo sa Google Scholar. Sa Google Scholar, you just need to type in a particular keyword, particular focus of your research. Tapos, lalabas na dyan, no, kung ano ang mga related literature, related studies, no, doon sa keyword na in-enter ninyo. So tulad nito, reflection journal in math class. So lahat ng mga studies about reflective thinking, about journal writing lalabas dyan. You can actually sort, no, your searches dito sa left portion. Sandali, paano ko ba? I'll get the pointer. So dito sa left portion, no, pwede niyong isort, no, in terms of year. By the way, sa literature ninyo, we suggest na 5 years, no, within 5 years yung study. So now it's 2021 siguro yung mga study nyo is between 2015, no, or 2016 dapat yung mga sinasite nyo na. Kapag may sinite pa kayong 2001, 2005, sasabihin niya ng panel ninyo, these are old literature already. So by practice, no, mga 5 years ideally. Pero kung wala talaga kayong makita, you can look into the last 10 years. Pero ang una ninyong search ay tignan nyo muna yung first 5 years. So take note of that, no, class, kasi titignan ng mga panel members ninyo yung year ng publication ng mga RRL ninyo. Okay? Pag sinite ninyo, makikita kasi anong year na publish yung binasa ninyo or nilagay ninyo. Okay? So, another thing na na-observe ko, no, may mga journal, education journal, no, kung saan open access ang mga research. Tulad nito, this is a journal for educational research. Puntahan mo, for example, ang isang research journal. Tapos, yung may mga archives siya. Ang mga archives niya tulad nito, kung saan pag clinic mo yan, lalabas na lahat, no, yung mga research for that particular year, for that particular volume, and you can easily download the research. So hindi mo na kailangan pumunta sa isang library para isa-isahin mo, no, yung mga research. Pero pwede kang pumunta sa mga open access journals kung saan you can download the PDF of the researches done, no, in different countries. May mga Filipino research na rin, no? So pwede mo siyang maging basis for local and international related studies mo. Okay? So, ayan, suggestion ko, maghanap kayo ng mga open access journals, tapos puntahan nyo yung open access journal na yun and tignan nyo yung mga archives nila. And usually, makikita mo yung listahan ng mga published journals. So, ayun, isang tulong yon, no? Isang malaking bagay sa pag-locate ng inyong mga related literature. So here's an example, no? Binuksan ko ang isang volume 8. That's volume 8 in December 2020 in number 12B na publication. Ito lahat yung mga, actually marami yan, no? Nag-screenshot lang ako. So ito yung mga nakapublish for that particular volume. Again, 2020, ibig sabihin, very recent yung publication. Okay? Tapos, you can just simply download the full article PDF. Okay? So, edi meron na kayong isang literature. Okay? Imagine ito, sobrang dami. Ang daming volumes, no, in a particular year, no? Marami pa yan, hindi lang Universal Journal of Educational Research. Marami pang mga open access journals na kailangan lang ninyong malaman. Kailangan lang ninyong hanapin, no? Para makalocate kayo ng mga sources. Another is this. The International Journal of Innovation, Creativity, and Change. Isa siyang open access journal din kung saan you can download also, no, yung mga PDF ng mga research nila. Okay? So, edi wala na kayong limitation sa pagko-collect ng RRL. Okay? Itong dalawang sinample ko sa inyo na Universal Journal of Educational Research and this IJICC, ito, aware ako dito kasi I have also published in these two journals. Last 2020, no, meron akong publication in November and December. So, kaya aware ako na marami kang makukuha dito. But, dalawa lang yan, no? Pero marami pa ang open access journal. I-google nyo lang mga open access journal din. Try ninyong mag-locate pa. Sobrang dami niyan. Okay? So here, may mga times na ang mga nakikita nating RRL kapag nag-google tayo, hindi sila open access. May mga times na ganun. Pero, ang mababasa natin ay yung kanilang research abstract. So, sa research abstract, pwede nyo kasing basahin ano yung inaral ng ganitong researcher, no? Tapos, ito yung research abstract niya. From the research abstract kasi, meron na kayong makukuhang information. So, you can actually get those information, no, dun sa mga research abstract nila. Okay. May mga researchers kasi na very generous ang pagbibigay ng information dun sa summary pa lang, no? Dun sa abstract pa lang ng paper nila. So, ayan, these are some examples. Okay? Again, may mga makikita kayo na hindi free, kailangan yung mag-subscribe, pero ang unang gawin niyo since nagre-review muna kayo ng RRL is to read, no, the abstract of the paper. And tingnan niyo kung yung ginawa nilang study is really related to your paper in your research. Okay, so I'm just giving you now some examples of the different research journals, no? So ito, Sage Journals, no? May Elsevier tayo kanina. So meron din dito Okay? So, ayan. Ito mga free. No? You just have to search the information related to your work. Okay. Some pointers. Not all sources are equal. Think about the quality of the source. It is primary or secondary? Is it based on the research evidence? Has there been a peer review process? Um, Ayan, not all sources are equal. May mga sources kasi na hindi reliable, no? May mga sources na hindi primary yung sources. Okay? Sa pagsusulat ninyo ng RRL, we don't uh, actually want to see yung mga may as cited by. Di ba? Pag kasi binasa mo ang introduction ng isang research, may isinite siyang isang researcher. Ngayon, ang ginagawa mo, excuse me, meron po bang Pam? Okay. Can I continue? Hello po.
Hello po. Yes po, ma'am. Baka po may nakapindot lang po nila.
Okay. Sige.
Sorry for that po.
Okay. So, again, going back, so in writing your related literature, no, ayun, avoid natin yung mga secondary, avoid natin yung as cited by. Kaya sinasuggest ko kanina na ang tignan ninyo yung actual result ng isang study na binasa ninyo. Kasi direct, primary information na makukuha natin. Right there and then you can cite the researcher. Pero kapag yung researcher na yon, sinite niya yung isa pang research, then hindi na siya first hand, no? So ang isusulat mo noon as cited by. So iniiwasan natin na may mga as cited by. What you can do is to, since sinite niya yon, definitely lalabas yon sa reference niya, then tignan mo ngayon sa references. Okay? So another, literature review should be a story with a beginning, middle, and an end. It is a synthesis that links ideas and find differences. It is not a list. So usually what we write in the introduction part, naka-inverted pyramid yan. Usually, inverted pyramid kasi papakita mo yung global trend, yung main problem. Tapos papunta ka na sa regional, sa local. So kaya siya inverted pyramid. And what you need to answer there is this. Ako, sa pagsusulat ko, may tatlong tanong lang ako. Sa pagsusulat ng RRL, what is the trend? Dapat masagot ko sa aking introduction, ano yung trend, ano yung problem. Kalawa, what is already known? So I have to write down there lahat ng mga nabasa ko, isa-summarize ko yung mga nabasa ko na kung ano na yung naaral nila tungkol sa problem or sa trend na nabanggit ko. And lastly, I need to answer the question, what is new in the study? Anong bago? Okay, para masagot nyo na rin doon, what is the research gap? Ito yung naaral ng mga nabasa ko. Ngayon, ito yung focus ng study ko. Ito ang magiging bago dito sa study ko. So, those are the things that you should see in your RRL. May I check, ma'am, if I still have time?
Sige, ma'am, okay lang po.
Yes po,
Okay
sige
lang
po.
Okay po. Sige. Next is, minsan din ang problema ng mga estudyante, though hindi ito English class, pero I would like to give this no as some inputs din no kung paano ang mga linking words natin, yung mga terminologies na ginagamit natin. Kasi ayaw natin marinig or mabasa lagi na sinasabi, according to. Ayaw natin na ganun lang lagi yung nababasa natin. Nakakaumay. Kumbaga, pag kinukwentuhan ka, kung paulit-ulit lang yung introduction na mauumay ka sa statement. Same also for reading. So we should have this, mga linking words. Dapat aware, marami tayong baon, ika nga, sa pag nagsusulat tayo. Hindi naman kasi lahat di ba, magaling sa writing. Pero makakatulong kapag alam natin yung mga pwede nating magamit na linking words like this. When you want to show a differences between one result of the study to the other study, you can make use of however, but, notwithstanding this, although, yet, conversely, no, or contrary, mga ganyan. In spite of this, nevertheless, on the other hand, despite, then again. Okay. So, kapag ang sinusulat natin ay one statement is different with the other statement, then you can make use of these linking words. Doon sa on the other hand, kapag gumamit ka ng on the other hand, dapat bago mo gamitin yung on the other hand, may statement ka na on the one hand. On the one hand, ito yung sinasabi ni literature. Then, on the other hand, ito yung sinasabi ng isang literature. So, ayun, natutuhan ko yan sa isang research teacher ko. Then, nakikita ko na rin sa mga published research na ganun pala yung paggamit ng term na on the other hand. Dapat meron kang statement na on the one hand, then merong on the other hand. So, ito yung pagko-connect natin ng one statement to another if they have different views, no? Then, kapag naman yung binabasa natin is an idea related to another idea, ito yung mga ginagamit nating terminologies. Moreover, further, furthermore, additionally, likewise, similarly, also, equally, and what is more. So, these are just samples of those linking words. At least marami na kayong options, no? Hindi lang nyo nakikita moreover, moreover. Ayan. Dapat iba-iba din naman yung nakikita nating mga linking words. And when one ideas lead to another idea, no? Ito yung, this is one idea, tapos therefore, ano? May mga ganoon that leads to another idea, then you have this. You can make use of hence, no? Because of this study, thus, as a result, consequently, therefore, accordingly, so for this reason, this is why. So these are some examples of linking words. Okay? Ito pala yung sinasabi ko kanina, no? Na may slide pala ako for this. This is what I do in taking notes, no? Pag may nabasa ako, for example, I read something about the mirror in 2015, no? Then, isusulat ko na agad dito kung ano yung reference ko at kung paano ko siya isa-cite. Then, I will have to write the SOP, the method, and the result, and the conclusion of what I have read. Okay? Can you give me a second for this? Okay. So, someone is calling. Okay. So, anyway, let me proceed. Are you still okay? Nakakatulong naman.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
po, ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. I tried to speak fast kasi yung time. Sobrang haba kasi kapag usapang research. As much as possible, I want to give more inputs. No? Kaya lang marami din kasi yung kinoconsider per part ng isang research. Okay. So, here. How will you develop your research title? So, now that you have your research question or your topic, you have reviewed on your literature, now you have to identify your variable. Okay, in your research title, ito yung unang-una yung isasubmit sa teacher ninyo. So, you have to summarize the main idea or ideas of your study. Then, a good title contains the fewest possible words that adequately describe the contents and purpose of your research paper. Okay? So, dapat nakikita sa title yung mismong main idea ng research ninyo. Okay? So, if the title is too long, it usually contains too many unnecessary words. Okay? So, example, a study to investigate the, hindi na natin yung sinusulat, no? Hindi na natin nilalagay yung a study to investigate kasi that's actually the main purpose of doing a research. You have to study and to investigate something. So there's really no need for you to write that in the title. No? A title which is short often uses words which are too general naman. For example, African politics, Filipino politics. No? This could be very short naman. So pag too many, maraming, pag too long, probably there are too many unnecessary words. Pag too short naman, minsan very general, napaka-broad ng concept. So kailangan sa research title natin something specific. So the following parameters can be used to help you formulate a suitable research paper title. So sa research title, you can include the purpose of the research, the narrative tone of the paper, no? So typically defined by the type of the research, then the methods used. Minsan, ito yung mga nakikita natin. Pag purpose of research, usually tinitingnan ng mga panel members or ng mga nagbabasa, your audience, dapat nakikita, dun sa title pa lang, yung mga variables under study. Yung main focus or main objective ng research. Tapos, kapag ang methodology is something na hindi common na ginagamit. Pero kung descriptive research lang siya, experimental research, hindi na natin yun nilalagay sa title. Ino-omit na natin. Pero if the method design or research method or the research design is something different, something that not all researchers are doing. For example, grounded theory, a narrative research, ito common na ngayon ang narrative research, ethnographic research, mga ganyan. Yun mga nilalagay nila sa title kasi there's something different about or something not common na ginagawa ng mga researchers dun sa method na yon. Pero kapag it is a common research method, hindi na rin siya nilalagay sa research title. Okay? So, in creating again your working title, we call it working title since pwedeng magbago ang title ng research ninyo hanggang sa final defense, pwedeng magbago yan. So typically the final title is created after the research is completed so that the title accurately captures what was done. So kaya nga initially ang tawag nyo pa lang dyan working title. So ang final title ninyo ay kapag final defense na kayo. Then, the working title should be developed early in the research process because it can help anchor the focus of the study in much the same way the research problem does. And referring back to the working title can help you reorient yourself back to the main purpose of the study if you feel yourself drifting off on the tangent while writing. So, sinasabi nito, there will be some point kasi habang nagsusulat ka, nawawala ka sa track. So, pag medyo tama pa ba, may mga tanong kayong tama pa ba, ito pa ba yung track na ng study ko, then you go back to the working title. Tingnan nyo kung yun ba talaga yung patutunguhan ng mga ginagawa ninyo. So, ganon nakakatulong yung working title. So, effective titles in academic research paper. So, let me just give this very quickly. Ayan. So, kailangan accurate yung subject and scope of the study. Avoid yung mga abbreviations, especially if the abbreviations is very uncommon. Okay? So, use words that create positive impression. Use current nomenclature in the field of study. Mga technical terms na ginagamit for that particular field, yun yung gamitin ninyo. Identify key variables. Reveal how the paper will be organized and suggest relationship between variables which support the major hypotheses. Okay. Sabi ng aking kaibigan, mag-slow down ako. Okay na ba? Okay pa ba yung pacing?
Yes po.
Yes po.
Okay. If ever makita may hindi kayo nasundan, I think this is recorded, no? You can always ang tawag doon, i-rewind yung presentation. Okay. Nasa pang ilang slide na ba ako? Okay. Wait. 48 out of 91. Okay. Pero hindi ko naman to, I'll give you a copy of the presentation, but I might not be able to discuss everything. Ang prepare ko kasi is more on
Hello po.
Hello po, ma'am.
Ah, for a while po ma'am, nagka-technical problem, biglang nag-shutdown ang aking computer.
Alright, sure po, ma'am. Take your time po.
So, ayan. Baka may mga tanong habang binubuksan ko ulit itong aking computer.
Okay po. Ma'am Jen?
Alright. Alright. I hope you're still fine and listening well to our speaker for today. And I hope your notes are filled with valuable insights and experiences lifted from our speaker. Now, if you have questions or clarifications, if you have concerns that you wish to ask, since you are about to create your own thesis as part of your partial fulfillment on your chosen field, my dear, I am now encouraging everyone. You may raise your hand, you may turn on your microphone, or you may even send your queries and concerns on our chat box here so that Ma'am Josh may entertain you. Anyone?
Para hindi masayang yung time habang ino-open ko ang aking computer.
Anyone? Do you have any questions or queries? Or so far everything is smooth and clear? Anyone from BE at 3A or 3B? 3C or 3D? Any questions? So I guess everything is clear so far. Yes po, ma'am. Take your time po.
Sinasabotahe tayo ng mga gadgets natin. Wala naman ako napindot. Bigla siyang nag-restart. At ngayon lang nangyari to.
Sige po, ma'am. Take your time po. Alright. If for the meantime, if there are no concerns yet, later if you have questions or clarifications, you may list them down temporarily on your notebook or on your notes. And then later, you may present them, you may raise them so that we could clarify things.
A few more seconds po. I'm going to present now. Writing research. Okay. Ayan. So, ayan, nag-stop ako doon sa effective titles, no. Usually, effective titles, no, is limited to 10 to 15 substantive word, mga important terminologies. Again, you count, mahaba na yung may 20 words, pero you limit it to 10 to 15 substantive words. Do not include study of, analysis of, or similar constructions. Titles are usually in the form of phrase, but can also be in the form of a question. Use correct grammar and capitalization with all first words and last words capitalized, including the first word of a subtitle. All nouns, pronouns, and verbs, adjectives, and adverbs that appear between the first and the last words of the title are also capitalized. In academic papers, rarely is a title followed by an exclamation mark. However, a title or subtitle can be a form of question. So see, these are some of the things that you consider, no, in writing your title. So let me proceed now to the method part of your research. Okay? So, ito, tulad ng sabi ko kanina, ito yung mga makikita ninyo, no? Sa chapter 2, you have to write your research design, your participants or the respondents. You have to mention the sampling technique, the instrument, and the data analysis and ethics of your research. So, in the methodology part, so you have to think about how to answer the question. Ano ang research method na makakatulong sa inyo para masagot nyo yung mga tanong ninyo sa research? So, the method here, you have to know the approaches to research. How are you going to answer the research question? What are you are going to know what are the different methods and research designs? Part ito ng aaralin ninyo sa thesis writing. Pag-aralan nyo mga different methodologies at mga research designs. Tapos pipili kayo doon kung ano yung applicable para sa study ninyo. Now, let me go straight to the next slide. Briefly, I would like to show to you this. This is what you call as the research onion. No? Dito makikita nyo kung ano ang pagkasunod-sunod ng mga research techniques and procedures. Pagpili natin, no? You identify what type of data collection and data analysis that you're going to do. Are you going to have quantitative or qualitative research? Mga ganyan. So, tapos you have to identify if it is cross-sectional or longitudinal. So, pag cross-sectional, ito yung yung pagkuha ninyo ng data ay includes a short period of time. Kapag longitudinal, it takes years, no? I think hindi kayo magve-venture sa longitudinal kasi you need to finish your research in a very short period of time. So, usually cross-sectional yung study ninyo. Then, kailangan identify nyo kung anong method ang gagawin ninyo. Mono method, isang method lang. Kung quantitative, quantitative lang. Kung qualitative, qualitative lang. Are you going to use the mixed method? So pag mixed method, it's a combination of qualitative and quantitative. Tapos marami pang klase ng mixed method, no? Then multi-method, ito, meron ka ng quantitative, may qualitative ka pa, tapos mag-add ka pa ng isa pang quantitative or qualitative. Then you have to determine kung anong klaseng research ang gagawin mo, mga strategies dyan. Are you going to have an experiment, a survey, a case study, an action research, a grounded theory, ethnography, archival research? So yan yung mga titignan mo, ano yung gagawin mong research sa mga yan. So then deductive, inductive, tapos yung pinakalabas ng, pinaka-last part ng research onion natin has something to do with the philosophies of research. Pero itong nasa inner core natin, ito yung mga common na pinagpipilian natin, no? Okay. So, aralin yung maigi itong mga research design. Dito kayo kukuha ng anuman ang research design na gagamitin ninyo. Okay? So, at may ano pala ako dito. I'm just going to give you these slides, no? To give you explanation of what are these research methodologies that we have. Okay? In writing your participants, so you have to mention, no, who are suitable subjects of your study and why they are suitable in your study. Bakit sila ang pinili ninyo? Ilan sa kanila ang kasama sa study? Kung quantitative yan, make sure makalculate ninyo ang kung ilan ang appropriate number of respondents na kasama sa study. Pag qualitative naman dyan, hindi masyadong issue yung bilang ng participants ninyo. No? Importante sa qualitative ang tamang pagpili ng participant at kung bakit sila ang pinaka-appropriate for your research. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyong sampling techniques. Marami tayong sampling techniques. So if you're into quantitative research, mas maganda kung pipiliin ninyo ang probability sampling. So you have to study well what are these random sampling, stratified sampling, cluster, systematic, and multi-method sampling. Minsan naman, we look into the non-probability sampling, convenience sampling, quota sampling, snowball sampling, and purposive sampling kung wala talaga tayong magamit for probability sampling. Kung quantitative research yan, medyo weak ang inyong research kung ginamitan nyo siya ng convenience sampling. Parang last resort na lang kasi itong convenience sampling, no? Pero in terms of experimental research, madalas ginagamitan natin ng purposive sampling kasi we have a purpose for choosing that particular group of students or kung sino man yung respondents ninyo. Kaya madalas din makikita yung term na purposive. Tapos kapag ginamitan nyo siya ng purposive sampling, dapat i-enumerate ninyo lahat ng criteria for choosing the participants. No? Okay. Then meron tayong tinatawag na total enumeration. Pag sinabing total enumeration sampling, ito yung ginagamit nyo yung kabuuan. Example, the whole BE-Ed third year. So, total enumeration. Pero you have to have a reason why the whole BE-Ed third year. Mga ganon. Okay. In data gathering tools, marami kayong tools na pwedeng magamit. So, quantitative data tools, you can have online, phone, mail, and face-to-face. Pero ngayon, medyo hindi natin magagawa ang face-to-face. Sa instrument, so you have to decide, no? Are you going to adapt or adapt? So, yung adapt with an O, itong adapt with an O, nasaan ba? Ibig sabihin, kapag may nakita kayong instrument, kokopyahin nyo siya as is. Adapt with an O yon. Pero with adapt with an A, ang ibig sabihin, gagamitin nyo yung research instrument niya, pero meron kayong imomodify. Okay? Whatever that you're going to do here, you have to validate the instrument if this is appropriate for your particular study. Okay? Kailangan, ang dapat nyong siguraduhin, no, na yung instrument na gagamitin ninyo ay siya talaga ang makakatulong sa inyo para masagot lahat ng tanong ninyo sa SOP. So, busisiin dapat yung instrument kung lahat ng yon ay sasagot sa lahat ng tanong sa SOP. Kasi once na na-float nyo na yan, naibigay nyo na yung instrument nyo sa mga participants niyo, tapos makikita nyo hindi pala nasasagot yung mangilan-ngilan na participants, medyo mahirap pa, no? Matrabaho pa na balikan silang lahat, no? And sometimes masaklap kapag hindi pala sinasagot ng instrument mo yung tanong ng research nyo. Okay, then you have to also know if are you going to make your own instrument? If you're going to make your own instrument, it should follow the procedure in instrument development. No? You have to test the validity and reliability of the instrument also. Okay? Kahit qualitative instrument yan, kahit interview protocol, tinetest pa rin natin yung validity ng instrument natin. Pag kasi tinetest natin yung validity, ibig sabihin, we are testing if the instrument is really measuring what it intends to measure. That's the main concept of validity, no? Ito bang instrument ko ay talagang makakasagot sa kung ano yung gusto kong masagot, yung mga ganon. Okay. So, yan, you have to prepare for your interview or protocol guide and have it validated. Okay? Then you can have other data sources aside from the instrument and the interviews. You can have observations, journals, existing data, and the FGD or the focus group discussion. Okay? So So for your data analysis, determine if it is quantitative or qualitative. You have to also consider ethics in your research. So ethics, establishing participants' consent. Kaya kayo magbibigay ng letter sa mga participants ninyo. In terms of international ethics, kapag ang respondents ninyo ay below 18 years old, you have to get the consent of the parents. Dapat sumulat kayo sa parents na iso-survey nyo yung anak nila or hihingi kayo ng permission na isama sila sa inyong experiment, mga ganon, no? Or kung ano man yung magiging purpose ng research. Yun yung ethics ng mga, kapag gumamit tayo ng mga participants which is below 18 years old. Access in getting hold of the information that you need. You also have to seek permission sa principal, sa teachers, even sa parents, no? Okay? At kung ano man kung saan man ninyo kukunin yung information. So, some other things that you have to consider in your writing your research, it should be honest, no? Yung data sharing should be observed, yung data privacy, plagiarism concerns, and the conflict of interest, no? Kailangan ma-address yan, no, sa inyong pagdi-discuss ng ethical consideration sa last part ng inyong chapter 2. Okay? So, yan. The research ethics provide guidelines for responsible conduct of research, educates and monitor scientists conducting research to ensure high ethical standard. So, ayan. Maraming mga research na kapag may ethics issue sila, no, hindi siya napapublish, hindi natatanggap, hindi na-approve, mga ganyan. So, I will just give this as a reference to you, no? Okay. Yan. Sa data gathering, nabanggit ko na to kanina, you can make use of interviews, no? Isan ko lang itong aking slide leading towards the end. So there are data that requires numbers or words. So if it is numbers, no, or words, you basically need to have questionnaire, for example, no? Okay, or observation. So sa observation, you have to know if it is structured or unstructured. Okay. Next. So on the analysis of your finding, so if you are analyzing words or yung qualitative, you can make use of constant comparative method, coding and sorting and patterns. So if you are analyzing numbers, you have to make use of different statistics appropriate for your research question. So sa coding, medyo matagal-tagal na discussion ito. Let me just give you a walkthrough of the coding levels. No? Sa first level of coding, so you called it as substantive codes. You study the data line by looking for key processes, codify the substance of the data, and substantive codes used by participants. So sa level 2 coding, so pagsama-samahin na yung mga nakuhang codes sa level 1 and assign a category towards it, which should be common to every item na nakuha natin from level 1. And level 3, identify core variables of a basic social psychological processes, or you can have your teams here. Okay? So if you're analyzing numbers, numbers can help you describe, to understand the relationship, or to understand what may be causing what. Okay? So, okay. Ito yung mga kino-consider, no, ng mga statistician sa pag-identify ng inyong sa pag-data analyze ng numbers. Iko-consider nila yung kung ilang variables yan, univariate ba, bivariate, multivariate. Itatanong ito sa inyo ng statistician ninyo, no? Ilan ang variables under study. Okay? Tapos, ilan ang sample size. May mga statistics kasi na hindi mo pwedeng magamit kung kulang yung number of samples ninyo. Okay. Tapos yung study objectives, yung measurement scale, is it categorical? Is it interval or ratio? No? I'm not sure if you have discussed this in your statistics class, no, or in your MMW, Math in the Modern World. Dinidiscuss yung statistics portion doon, no. Nababanggit yung measurement scale. Okay? Ayan. So let me ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. Allow me just to give this as a reference to you once you receive the copy of this presentation. Okay. So sa sampling, ito yung nabanggit kanina. No? Specific lang itong slides na to. Okay. And in writing your conclusions, you have to synthesize your findings. You reconcile your findings with those of others, and you present them and write them. Okay, in presenting your research, you have to make use of table or your, aside from words, of course, you present tables or graphs. No? In writing your conclusion, it doesn't need to be long. It is not a summary. It is a synthesis that captures the readers what the research was about and leaves them with an idea of your understanding of the field and your understanding of research, its benefits and weaknesses. Okay? So, synthesis should address whether you have been able to answer your questions, reiterate briefly some of the points in the discussion, should say how your interests have changed, and in the summary of your findings, you summarize briefly the main findings and should outline dilemmas, questions, and paradoxes. Okay? So, you can go back to this part of the presentation. So I know this is recorded. You can go back here kapag nasa time na kayo ng pagsusulat ng results and conclusion ninyo. Kasi definitely hindi nyo naman matatandaan lahat. You know, hindi siya, ang research writing ay hindi makukuha sa one shot na discussion. So, but you can have this material, no? You can go back to this presentation, no? Once you are in this point of your writing. Okay, mga points ito na kino-consider in writing your chapter 4. So in writing your recommendation, you should outline your recommendation for those who have been participants in your research or for policy more widely. You have to include your limitations in the study, acknowledge your project's weaknesses, which may realize toward the end of your research. Okay? So, and you can recommend something about things that future researchers can do. State how your research leads to further questions. Ano pa yung mga pwedeng pwedeng ma-generate na new questions based on your research? Ano yung mga pwede pang aralin ng other researchers na hindi nasama sa study ninyo? So, you can include that in the recommendation portion. Okay? And writing an abstract, actually, this is the first thing that you will see in your research paper after the title. But this is the last thing that you're going to write. This is the first thing that you will read, but the last thing that you're going to write. So, in writing the abstract of your paper, you limit it to 150 to 300 words. Should be encapsulate the whole research. Dapat provide niya yung the whole summary ng inyong research. Imagine after doing how many pages of research, tapos isa-summarize mo siya into 150 to 300 words. Ang nakalagay lang sa abstract, yung mga very important things about your research. So this gives the first impression to all your readers. Ito yung unang-una kasing babasahin ng mga readers mo. This is writing the summary of your research project. So it gives, siguro, first sentence has something to do with the rationale. The second sentence has something to do with the research purpose. No? Hindi niyo siya isusulat in the question form, pero isusulat niyo siya in terms of the objective, no, of your research. You have to identify in your abstract the methods used. Minsan sinusulat din dyan ilan ang participants ng study ninyo. no? You have to give the salient findings, yung pinaka-importanting findings ng study nyo, and at least one sentence for your conclusion and recommendation. So ito yung mga nakikita natin sa abstract. Okay? I included this this portion. Ito naman yung itsura ng aking slides kapag nagpe-present ako ng research, no? Kasi whenever you are going to present your research sa inyong panel members, bibigyan lang kayo ng limited time. So ang ginagawa ko, usually, I suggest it to students, yung isang slide ninyo, you summarize na kung ano yung laman ng inyong chapter 2. No? Yung, nandyan na yung design, nandyan na yung sampling, yung data analysis, yung participants, yung instrument, tsaka yung ethics. Okay? Ang ginagawa kasi ng iba whenever they present their research, they put all the words, no, nakasulat sa kanilang research, at ang ginagawa na lang nila ay binabasa na lang nila to, which should not be the case. What you see in your presentation should be the summary of what you are going to say. Okay? So, before I end, let me leave this quotation. As, of course, a newbies in writing a research, no, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. That is from Zig Ziglar, no, and I find it very appropriate, especially for the new researchers, no, newbies in research. So don't be afraid to start writing your research, no. Who knows, one of you might fall in love in writing your research. So that's all. Thank you, and to God be all the glory. So now it's the time if you have some question. So thank you so much for listening.
Right. Thank you din po. Thank you as well, Ma'am Josh. And for the rest of the viewers and listeners of today's meeting, I hope your notes are filled with key points, with practical tips and notable ideas lifted from today's presentation. And Ma'am Josh, no amounts of words will suffice how grateful we are for having you on this research webinar. Again, everyone, you are encouraged and invited if you have questions, concerns, and clarifications regarding on how to craft your thesis, or what are the things that you need to consider, or such likes of those concerns, you may now raise them today. Anyone? At this moment, anyone? Questions po?
I just saw a chat here from Sir Jester asking for the number of words required in the title. I think nasagot ko na po na hindi ko agad nakita na you have question on that. Okay? Usually, hindi na tayo lalagpas sa 15 words. Mahaba na kasi yun. Okay? Do you have any other question po? Baka merong mga nagtatanong doon sa Facebook Live natin. Do not know.
All right, let's see our Facebook Live. Our technical working group, kindly assist us po for the questions on our Facebook Live.
All right. Hello, Ma'am Jen. I think there are no questions na na-drop po sa ating Facebook Live. Ayan.
All right. Thank you, Ma'am Pam. I check it also. Puro attendance ata yung nandun, ma'am, sa ating Facebook Live. All right. Sige, if there are any questions, right now po, may I ask everyone to turn on their camera for photo documentation. Let's have this chance to have a photo op with our speaker today. Anyone po? Yan. Turn on po your camera for the photo documentation. Uh, to our technical working group, sir, pwede po bang patanggal po muna yung share screen para lahat po tayo is ma-present po dito sa ating screen for screenshot. Alright, how about the rest? Pakit-on na po yung camera nyo. This is your chance. Ayun. Sige, loading po sila. Alright, ready? On my cue. Show me your best smile po. The count of 1. 1 pa lang po, smile na kayo, no? Alright? 1, 1, 2, 3. Thank you po. Thank you po for turning on your camera. Alright? As we proceed to this program, I guess we are settled and clear, and so far no questions were raised. Thank you for your active participation. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time, everyone. And to Dr. Josh, pasibayo po, dakal pong salamat. Now, at this moment, let me call in Sir Jefferson Valdez to award and thank our speaker. Sir Jeff?
Hello. Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Okay, thank you po. So, to all our attendees, good morning. So, as an expression of our heartfelt gratitude in behalf of the DST community, I have the honor to award this certificate of appreciation to our esteemed resource speaker. Okay, sir, can you present the certificate? Ma'am Jen, can we present the certificate?
Sir,
Right
for
po,
a
sir.
while po, for a while
Okay.
lang po, it is being presented, kaya lang di lang po nag-a-appear. Sorry po, Doc Josh.
Okay lang po.
Thank you po.
Alright, while waiting po for the presentation of the certificate, I would like to call the attention of Ma'am Pam to get ready later for your closing remarks. Thank you, Ma'am Pam.
Right, sorry po everyone. Medyo nagkakaproblema lang po ng saglit. Please give us few minutes.
Right, sige, thank you po for your patience while waiting po for the presentation of the certificate. Well, knowing that our viewers today or our participants for this research webinar are mostly of them are third year college students and are product of K to 12 curriculum. I guess during their senior high tenure, meron na po sila atang exposure in doing a research. But this time, the only difference is that for college, medyo pang bachelor's level na yung gagawin yung study. At the same time, yung magiging chosen target or chosen, core of your study will be about or will be related about your course, which is Bachelor of Elementary Education. Yeah. And I hope and I pray everyone will do it well, do it with flying colors too. Enjoy the experience, fall in love in creating a research. Marami siyang benefits as mentioned kanina kay Ma'am Josh. Sige po, our technical working group, currently they are processing po in presenting the certificate. Nagkaroon lang po ng medyo technical problems, konting technical problems. Again po, thank you for your patience, everyone.
Ayan. So, it's now presenting. So again, to all the participants of this webinar, especially, sabi nga ni Ma'am Jen, our third year BE Ed students, no, ay malaking tulong, no, yung ating webinar for today. So, again, as an expression of our heartfelt gratitude to our resource speaker, so I have the honor to award this certificate of appreciation. So let me read the text. Republic of the Philippines, Don Honorio Ventura State University, Santo Tomas Campus, awards this certificate of appreciation to Dr. Josephine Luz D. Pineda in grateful acknowledgement of her distinguished and invaluable sharing as resource speaker during the research webinar given this 13th day of April 2021 via Google Meet at Don Honorio Ventura State University, Santo Tomas Campus. To be signed, Executive Vice President Rohel S. Serrano, RCE MAIE, Vice President for Research, Extension and Training, Rani B. Canlas, MSCPE, and our University President, Dr. Enrique G. Backing. Again, let's give a virtual round of applause to our esteemed resource speaker, Dr. Josephine Luz D. Pineda. So thank you, ma'am,
Thank you
for
po.
sharing your valuable knowledge in research here at DABSO Santo Tomas. Thank you and God bless to all.
Thank you po.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you also, Sir Jeff, for that. Now, to finally end and wrap up today's webinar, I would like to give the floor to the College of Education Coordinator in DOPSO Santo Tomas Campus, Ma'am Maria Pamela Rueda.
Ayan po. Good morning, everyone. So once again, I thank you for your patience. So medyo pasulput-sulput po yung mga technical difficulties natin. So to formally end our webinar for today, first and foremost, I would like to express my appreciation, of course, to our dear speaker, Dr. Josephine D. Pineda, for her valuable contribution to our research webinar, specially crafted for the benefits of our future researchers, particularly for the third year BE Ed student of DABSO Santo Tomas. So my deepest gratitude also goes to all who attended this webinar and helped to make it such a successful event. So dakal pong salamat. To mention also, I would like to thank our campus director, Dr. Javita G. Rivera, and our research coordinator, Baby Alexis A. Awat, for making this event possible amidst of the fact that we are in the middle of a pandemic. Okay, so not to forget as well my colleagues who said yes in accepting the task to make this event be in a smooth transition, although hindi talaga natin may iwasan na magkaroon tayo ng mga technical difficulties. So, as I end my closing remark, I would like to remind everyone that the common facts of today are the products of yesterday's research. Ayan. So, there is always beauty in research, there is wisdom in research, there is progress through research. So, once again po, dakal pong salamat. Thank you everyone.
Ayun. All right. Thank you also, Ma'am Pam. Now, everyone here, I hope that this webinar will be used not only as part of the partial fulfillment of your degree, but also parallel to the message of this webinar, which is research reminds us that in every problem, there is a solution. Now, in this profession, we look forward to see you all someday soaring to the greater heights amidst the uncertainties you will encounter. Again, this is Jenilyn D. Cunanan, your moderator for today's webinar. Dakal pong salamat and be safe.
Thank you po, Doc.
Thank you po, ma'am. Thank you po, Doc. Thank you,
Thank you
Thank you,
po.
everyone.
teachers.
Ingat po lagi.
I'll leave na po yung meet. Thank you so much.
Yes po. Thank you so much po, ma'am.